Welcome to Jasiri. We're here to help you navigate through the madness and confusion that is sometimes living in Nigeria. Here is where we make sense of it all with experts, policymakers, and special guests, as well as our own perspectives and yours on the issues that affect us as everyday Nigerians. Welcome one, welcome. Say it with me. Welcome one, welcome all. Ladies, are you ready for today?
We hope so.
I love this pink on her, the pink lip. The makeup artists are excited that you finally allowed them to put some color on you.
Yeah, because we always fight. I like it simple, nude, kind of plain. Like, Annie, use color.
Yeah, I love it because you said yesterday that we should own our space.
Yes.
And it's an interesting lending into that.
Oh, thank you. Only space. Annie's on fire. On social media. If you missed it.
You guys, no, listen, I feel like the truth has to be said at some point because we owe it to ourselves. We cannot ask for change if we're not willing to speak about it ourselves. And maybe, yes, it might cost you a few things, but at the end of the day, what you want is change. If that's what you want, then you go for it, and you go for it full throttle. That's what I believe. That's how I was raised.
Well, the truth is when you speak your truth and speak truth, you have peace of mind that comes with it. You can't take that away from anything. You may lose some things along the way, but the fact that you have eased your conscience, you have spoken about the things that are affecting you as a person. And I think we should do that a lot more as Nigerians if we want to move forward.
Yes, and the fact that you're shining bright like a disco ball.
I can't let you get away with it. You know, I said to myself, it's time to own your space.
Yes.
Listen, from yesterday, I said it's time to own your space. Be bold, change the narrative wherever you are. Do what it is you want to do, but do it with panache, do it with style, do it with intent. There has to be, no one exists in a vacuum. You have to chart your own course. There is no shame in charting your own course and how you chart your course. But let us be intentional going forward about the things that we do. So
I love it.
I love it. And that's what we're here for. We're here for the conversations, the challenging of narratives, the setting of a new agenda for women and children, and of course, us as Nigerians. So let's talk about something. Between last week and now, students across Nigeria have resumed school.
Yes, they have.
We hope, because that's the thing. Because schools have resumed, but the question may be, have all the students resumed as well? Now, one of Nigeria's national dailies shared a story of how schools are seeing low turnouts of pupils for the new term. Parents are saying that the current economic hardship is to blame. Now, the story from the Vanguard, which focuses on Abakaliki in Ebonyi State, listed the skyrocketing pump price of petrol causing spiraling costs of transportation, education, instructional materials, and staple foods in the open market. This is now just one city in one state. Imagine how things are playing out across the country. And let me remind you, in May, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, decried the increasing number of out-of-school children in Nigeria, saying it is now 18.3 million. This alarming figure also positions Nigeria as the country with the highest number of out-of-school children globally.
You know, it's interesting that the facts add up to what is going on. So it's not as if, and because we always do things and live on the precipice, we do things and wait till last minute before we begin to before we begin to readjust. Before we begin to readjust to our realities, and that is what's happening now. Whether we like it or not, especially transportation, taking children to and from schools. It skyrocketed when fuel entered 500 and something. So during the holiday period before school started, a lot of parents were already worried. And 1,000 naira a litre, how would they be able to afford vehicles and transportation taking children to and from school? That's a huge, and that's away from school fees and school books, and because this is a new session, it's the first term of a new session, academic session, and that's the most expensive term of it all. So this is without talking about school fees, boarding fees that have skyrocketed. Boarding fees in Lagos was 30,000 naira before, affordable to an extent. Now it's 100,000 naira. Imagine the jump. How much do parents readjust and, you know, reprioritize the things on the table to be able to factor that in?
And I'm guessing this is in public schools, right?
Yes.
Private, we're not even talking about private schooling, which is way more expensive because people believe that they're paying for higher quality of education, even though sometimes it's a bit questionable. But let me just add that I think many of us in Lagos, we don't really get how hard things are across the country. I saw a graph that Nairametrics did based on data from the National Bureau of Statistics listing the 10 most expensive states to live in Nigeria. Sincerely, I was surprised that Lagos wasn't number one. I thought Lagos would be number one. I was surprised that it wasn't. According to the Nairametrics inflationary pressures in Nigeria, they varied significantly across states, with food inflation serving as a major driver of overall inflation in most cases. Overall, while some states saw a decrease in inflation rates, the high cost of food and other goods continues to pose a significant challenge for consumers across Nigeria. Going from 10 to 1, we have Abia, Oyo, Lagos, Gombe, Niger, Yobe, Sokoto, Jigawa, Kebbi, and then Bauchi. Bauchi actually takes the top spot, which is very interesting. This ties into the conversation that we're having about children going back to school, because it is believed that the bigger part of the population are the children. You have kids from kinder to primary school, or pre-K, primary, secondary school, even universities. I read somewhere that, I think you even mentioned it, something about Ebonyi State. They've actually recorded a lower, much lower numbers of children who have enrolled. Not just the ones that, okay, they enrolled, they didn't come back because of transportation. Because it's one thing to say, we're enrolled for the session and we can't afford to get to the school. It's a completely different thing when they could not even afford to enroll.
Absolutely. So I was having this conversation with one of my best friends over the weekend, and she was talking, Lucky, I don't know, you people that live on that other side of the bridge. No, my best I don't know how you're doing it. I don't, because some, and that's not even the high point. Her own right now for first term for her daughter her daughter is 7, is 900 and something thousand, just under 1 million. And what her daughter came back and told her, what she has also seen, is that a lot of parents have pulled their kids out of that private school. They've gone searching. So she actually spoke to another parent who has gone to another private school just across the express, which is about 500 or 600,000. Doesn't give you the same thing, most definitely. But people are cutting their clothes according to their size. But at this point, it also feels like there's no more clothes to cut. Because this is such a difficult situation. And imagine families that have multiple children. So the number before, I think for many years we used to hold on to, was 10 point something million out of school children. And UNICEF said in May it is now 18.3. We need to look at the underlying causes, because when we talk about out of school children, we all tend to focus on the north. But there are situations going on in the south, in the southeast and the southwest that are also contributing to having more children in these regions being part of out of school. And the economy is a massive reason. So imagine having 4 kids. You're going to start choosing who goes to school. And so we're going to have knockdown effects in a situation where families may choose to not let girls go to school again. You know, we're still dealing with girls with the girl child going to school in the first place. So it may not even be an age thing, who's the first born and the second born. It may just be, you know what, you're a female. You're going to stay home. By the time we get these numbers again, looking at the whole year, we might be going upwards of 20 million children out of school.
And that's the reality.
Because of different reasons.
Guys, this is the reality that we're talking about. In as much as we cringe away from it,
absolutely,
we say, oh, it's not my portion. It is our portion.
It is.
You're talking, I see what you're saying. You're even giving, you're giving options, and you're looking at you're opening up the conversation vis-a-vis the statistics that's in front of us. I'm looking at options. Parents, I'm speaking to parents who have an interesting option on their table. They're looking at homeschooling their children because they're saying that if it gets cheaper if you look at how much you're paying for school fees. And
Catherine, let's talk about homeschooling, because let's be honest, a lot of parents are actually not prepared to homeschool their child. And Justice is going to talk about it. There's a growing community of people who are homeschooling, but it's not the same. You still need to prepare your children to take the normal exams. A lot of them are failing to properly homeschool their kids. It's not an out if you're not prepared for what you need to do.
And not equipped to do it.
Telling you.
Listen, if you're saying you're going to teach your children at home, how many homes in Nigeria, 2-parent homes, have both parents not working or one parent not working? Both parents are working because they have to supplement each other's incomes. So who is not going to homeschool the child? You're going to get a bunch of strangers, tutors, and say, okay, come, I'm not at home. You come and teach my child what I don't know.
No, I understand that it's a growing community, but I've seen it happen. One of my friends is homeschooling her children in Nigeria, in this Nigeria.
She must come to this table and
she became intentional about it. From the get-go, she said, Kat, I'm going to homeschool
Does she work?
Yes, she works.
So how does she do it? Out of home or remote?
She remote works and then she in-person works. So it is she and her husband, they take it. It's like living abroad. They have, you know, it's like a bicycle. One is working, one is at home. They always make sure that. But this is intentionality coming into play.
Absolutely.
And I think some Nigerians are getting to the point where they're considering that as a healthy option because of what you're seeing. Tolu, you mentioned that your friend's daughter, her friends are leaving school, the parents are looking for other schools. Mais regarde maintenant, they've gone to another school, it's cheaper, but they're not getting the same quality. That also some parents don't want to negotiate on. They want that certain level of education for their children. And some people say, yeah, I know it's expensive, but because we've started the child on this level, we have to continue on that level. So it's as if you're going to market now. Before you would buy turkey. Now you're saying turkey is out of my range.
What's this turkey? What's the last time you tasted turkey?
So you see,
you don't tell. See, we are now in the Pama era.
Even Kwanla.
So I'm sorry, please. We are choosing.
I'm not present.
The fact that the person that they worship or the being they worship doesn't understand tenses is my big problem. Guys, you can't be a choosing. You are the chosen, or you do the choosing. I'm just saying, but
because you want to trend again today. You want to trend again.
Do you know how cringy it is? I'm a choosing. No, but you're not a choosing.
How did we get here?
I had no idea. It's Catherine. It's homeschooling. I'm going to say this for homeschooling.
But it's not even homeschooling. They may most likely be product of public education.
Yeah,
that's the
even
thing.
Private education. Let's not go there.
The choosings are definitely products of public education.
Don't forget that there are places who call themselves private educationals and they are not. They're just putting it there to get money.
It's just money, exactly. See, I get it. I know that our school systems or the school structure is not exactly what it should be, but the structure of education, or the way it's been structured, is carefully crafted like that for a reason. It's not just the knowledge that children get from going to school. That's one of your first points of socialization.
Social interaction.
Yes,
you learn social cues.
How to interact with other people.
Absolutely.
It teaches you how to have empathy. You guys know that that's my big thing. You can't just keep your child in the bubble of their own home. Otherwise, they become echo chambers unto themselves. Do you see what I mean? Yes, they become choosing.
It's a conversation that
Wait, I want to add one thing. I know we're going for a break, but let's also remember, we talked about the fact that Lagos is number 8 on the list of 10 most expensive states. Lagosians, many of us may not believe it, but I think we need to have more empathy for people in other states. Things are hard. And the saying has been that one Nigerian salary oftentimes caters for 4 to 5 to 6 people. Things are hard, but some of us may be blessed. And if you're blessed, I would say, if people that you know are in need outside of Lagos, inside Lagos, do what you can. You can't do everything, but sometimes do what you can.
I love that. All right, on that break, we will take a break from discussing Nigeria's problems, just saying. But just for a little bit, at least, since we know we must confront these issues eventually. We have a lot to get through on today's show with a conversation that's surrounding a notable creative coming up after the break. Let's dive into the evolution of the Nigerian entertainment and the media. Jasiri continues right after this.
The Nigerian entertainment industry and its offshoots have grown into global powerhouses. From music to movies, fashion and sports, it has evolved dramatically, gaining both regional and international acclaim. This evolution reflects the country's resilience, creativity, and adaptation to global media trends all across the globe, while fostering youth empowerment and entrepreneurship. Joining us today is a trailblazer in Nigeria's entertainment and fashion industry. He's not only a media mogul, but a style icon and a pioneer in digital content creation in Africa. He has continuously pushed the boundaries of creativity and innovation. Ladies and the gentlemen watching, it is my pleasure to welcome Noble Igwe to Just Serious.
Thank you. I feel like I should take you to events and weddings so that way you introduce me.
Can you afford me? That's all. If you can pay.
Have you seen me?
Wait, okay. I like
shots
it.
number one.
Fighting words. I like it.
Listen, nobody ever, like, I'm the guy who goes to a restaurant, I don't check the menu. I'm the guy who orders what I want.
You just say,
that I'm trying to say. So
just give it to me.
If you're on the menu to be my hype person, you just come work.
Come on, business.
Do invoice after the show. I'm a manager. I get 20%.
But thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome.
Ladies.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining. And Noble was already getting into our off-air conversation, but that's for another day. But let's start with this. Oftentimes when we talk or people talk about Nigeria's entertainment industry, the focus is on Nollywood. And of course, we see also a focus on our music scene. But there's so much more to the entertainment industry than just those two subsectors. In looking at the evolution of the Nigerian entertainment and, of course, media scene, what other subsectors have grown? Just as Nollywood has grown, just as the music industry have grown, what other subsectors have grown and developed that many of us may not have taken notice of?
So the thing is that, when people talk about evolution, I want to beat my chest to say that I played a huge role to what we have today as Afrobeats. I launched 360nobes.com in 2008. That's a long time ago. I have worked with so many Nigerian artists. I designed MI's first album. I designed Banky W's W Experience. I worked with YG. I worked with Timmy Dakolo. I worked with Soskid. I worked with...
Okay, because let's go around. Let's give a props for that.
I worked with Mohit, Duban, Don Jazzy, and the entire Mohit group. And I have also, also sort of done a lot of work in fashion. I was one of the first brand ambassadors for Lagos Fashion and Design Week. Incredible. Back in the day when it was being called that. I have also done a lot in content creation, but also in influencing. I was one of the first person that can actually beat their chest and said I was paid to be an influencer for a brand. So I have done that. Now let's talk about the subsections.
Why are you blushing at your own achievements?
Because when I sit back and think of how far I've come and the other things that I've done and how today I may be referred as the best in content creation with Shot by Noble. So which means I could look back and say like everything I've done has been a hit back to back. But I feel like the section or the sector that we don't really talk so much about is the content creation sector, where a lot of Nigerians, there's some videos I see these days that a lot of people who content has made them successful or become who they are today. Basically, the other day I was at a wedding and we're doing that whole fish pie, and this was somebody who used to sell things, and back in the day, content had to be created in a controlled environment. That kind of thing, the good light, the everything. But now I see people saying, "Get ready with me," and they carry a bucket to a makeshift bathroom, and nobody's saying, "Oh, this is not good enough." But the thing is, in a society where a lot of people are hustling to eat, there's an industry that is growing, and this industry is sort of feeding itself, making money, getting money. Some people who may not have a great number of influence, they don't have like millions of followers, but they control their followers. They have people who sort of look up to them and listen to them. So, there are different things. There's even this guy called Love Lagos who started sort of talking about cars. So he was like, that kind of stuff. From cars, we moved to houses, like, oh boy, this kitchen something. But it's content. So there's music industry, there's whatever, but there's a lot of Nigerians who have also gone overseas to create content. So there's a lot of subsection here and there who may be an offshoot of the bigger industry, but also for the music industry, there's a lot of people who also, their work is to also create dance steps for some popular music. They may not be regarded as musicians or dancers, but they're created in that industry. So that's what the industry. That's how the industry looks now.
So we can't deny that there's evolution, because evolution seems to have cut across how technology has democratized how the entertainment space works. That's a given. Now we've seen also the growth of digital media in Nigeria, the rise of influencer culture.
Yes.
Now, my question is, how has social media and the digital media changed the way we consume entertainment? Because it has changed.
Yes.
And how far has it pushed us?
I mean, I can tell you something. Let me. One of the simplest things I can tell you, or I can tell you a couple of things, but a few things, how you get to know that digital media have changed a couple of things was, back in the day, content is created in a landscape format. So people shoot this way because most of the medium where you share those are like the TVs and the YouTube, and they share this way.
Yeah.
Now, content is created in a portrait mode.
True.
Because some of these platforms that you sort of enjoy these things are in this way. You know, a whole lot of things. So you go to big event, whether it's going to be like New York Fashion Week or Lagos Fashion Week or any other thing, music videos, you know, most of them are not created in two formats, this way and this way. One for what you may refer to today as like the old media and the new media, how this content is being consumed. Also, that's it. Then of course look for some of us who have done blogging in the past. You know, back in the day, there was racistnobs.com, Linda Ikeji, Bella Nijan, Not Just Okay. But in recent time, you realize that people just want to sign onto one platform to get their news. So some of us have also moved from the website.com to having most of the news on Instagram. Because people just want to log on to one sort of media and get everything. So that's giving rise to the last of like Instablogs and the Ednot, whoever it is that creating content in that format that people are used to. So when they sign on to that, they can see their news, they can do every single thing, and they can do all those things. Then also in terms of what the smartphones and digital devices have gone is every smartphone now, almost all of them shoot in 4K.
Yeah.
And this content are shot in the highest quality. And you know, it can be viewed anywhere in the world in that same format and the rest of them. So the digital media has created a lot more new influencers. The digital media has also changed the landscape of comedy. You know, so right now you may have people who may not be old, but who are regarded as the old comedians compared to people who are young and who are also doing comedy skits every day. Some of the people who are skit makers have gone on to hold actual shows in a hotel just from making skits on their phones.
Where that would have been impossible before.
It would have been, like, it would have been possible before. Before, like, listen, before when we used to do campaigns, you need to physically take the tape to radio stations. You physically take the CDs to radio stations. Physically take the hard drive, the flash drive to radio station for them to play your song.
What?
But now, it's all digital, you know, that kind of thing. So right now we share files, like, you know, you don't have to leave your home.
So you either get digital or get lost.
Are you kidding? And do you have to take your stuff to the station?
So, and what's interesting about that is he's just talking about 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Exactly.
It's not very old ago.
No, just of recent. So, like, you know, so the landscape have totally changed, and that's the reason why it feels like some people who have not changed seems to be struggling. Because the young people you're talking
to,
exactly. So young people you're talking to want to get their content right now. They don't like it long. They don't want it long. They want it short and straight to the point. So
attention deficits.
Exactly. So you need to speak to them right now. You need to get their attention right now. And if you cannot get their attention in the first few seconds, you won't be able. Like, so if you're keeping your banger to the end of, you know, you're going to lose them. They're going to watch the end.
So you just go pow as it goes.
There's a good question in there. You have to take a break.
But ask the question. So he has an idea where we're going.
There's two questions. Based on what you just said now, doesn't that affect the quality of information we can put into the things we're doing because we have to
it's an attention economy
so much? Yes.
I mean, it does, but at the same time, if you need to talk to the people you're talking to, let me give an example, right? Today's newspaper headlines were yesterday's Twitter post.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. No, so let me as somebody in the news, we're constantly fighting with the immediate breaking news.
Exactly.
And by the time it's going on the show, it's already hours
exactly.
old. So it's been dissected.
So the
on
advantage
Instagram,
they have
Twitter.
is that you will go to the extent of doing your investigation, speaking to people. On digital media, they don't have that. But the thing about people who sort of breaking, so people just want to hear the story. They just want to, like, you know, people are going to say, oh, like when they wake up in the morning, it's going to be sold at 900. But listen, even your Dangotes and your NNPCs, then before they send the news items to you, they already put them out on Twitter.
That's true.
So by the time you're coming here on the station miking yourself, listen, the people have
no one has finished my job. We need to take a break. You have to finish my job. Please hold on. Give us our due regard.
They were like, this morning, the group are like, oh, we've read this.
And people were sitting on the toilet. We're going on a break. We'll come back and more conversation. Stay with us.
That one ain't that.
This is Jasuri, and we're having a conversation with a multifaceted content creator who is also somebody who is the founder and chief marketing officer of the 360 Knobs Group, Noble Igwe, looking at the evolution of the Nigerian entertainment and media, and also some other questions. But before we get to that, you know, you've talked about Nigeria. You talked about patting yourself on the back and being part of the rise of Afrobeat.
It's facts.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
It's not bragging.
Oh, no, I'm not meaning it as bragging.
No, but I can brag.
There's no problem. What's going on this table? There's no problem with it because we were talking about taking up space and owning your achievements. There's absolutely nothing. Yes. So you would deserve the pat on the back. So I want us to go into Afrobeat and a bit more about Nigerian pop culture and our global influence. So we've seen the attention and recognition that Nigerian music, film, and fashion is receiving. We release movies on Netflix. They go to the top 10 in the world. That's fantastic. But I really want to know, what do you think of Afrobeat's global rise? Collaborations with Burna Boy, Wizkid, Tiwa Savage, Yemi Alade. We're seeing them with Beyonce, Drake, Chris Brown, name it. So many other people. And as someone who was initially part of, well, still part of that, but was part of that, what do you make of the rise of Afrobeats?
So the thing is, you know, you have to look at it from two different angles, if I'm being honest. One angle is, this is great for us. Like, it feels good to walk into a store in any part of the world and Nigerian music is being played.
I was on holiday in the greatest places and I'm hearing Wizkid.
Yeah, and the other, so like, you know, we're going to be happy. They've been invited to the big parties. They're doing Grammy after party, DJ or OB. They're all playing, like, you know, Grammys and whatnot, parties and all the rest of them. But there's another side of it. The other side is also, we are also losing Afrobeat. Yes, and the thing is, whether we like it or not, Afrobeat has gone so international that Afrobeat has left the shores of Nigeria. You know, that kind of thing. So we can no longer afford our artists. So artists are being paid so much in USD that when they convert it here, nobody can pay them easily. And that's why I feel like some Nigerian people we don't even have concerts anymore. We don't have shows anymore. We don't have all those things just because Afrobeat has also sort of gone international.
I remember this. I think it was Dotun about 2 years ago that he made a comment about this, about the fact that they're now being paid in dollars and we should watch how it's going to affect. They don't want to come home.
They don't want to come home. It's not for a lot of things. They don't want to come home. So it's not worth their time. And so it's affecting the music, and also because a lot of people now, so they do music, they put on the streaming platform. So you go on Spotify, it goes on YouTube. They don't care as much as they should for the local consumers. The local consumers might not be so much, but I think like we like, you know, recently Tyler won an award.
That's the next question.
Because what is happening is, like, we are taking the music out of the shores of Nigeria, which is a good thing, but also using international producers in some cases. So they're learning the beats. They're learning the way we sing. And you know, Nigerian music is a lot more speak and response. Basically, when you say something, the audience is supposed to say something. So when the white people, when the white man or when the Englishman or whatever, when the foreigners sort of get how this is being done, then we just have to be ready that Afrobeat may go international, but when it gets that international appeal, it now becomes an international thing that is not longer peculiar to us.
So before we go further with Tyler, you know, this played out with the Grammys, the reggae nomination, and a lot of people, especially people in the Caribbean islands, were talking about the fact that how is it that it was a white band that won the very first award for reggae in the Grammys, and we want that appeal. We want that universal and global recognition. We want to be in the clubs. We want to pop champagne. How dangerous is it?
I mean, it's dangerous in the sense, like, after the first sign, when they're going to be young people who are going to know about Nigerian musicians and doing it so well, but they may never get to see them in concerts in Lagos. The same thing applies to the music, where if it's gone so international, you're going to also look back and feel like back in the day, the banks used to have almost every A-list artist for their Christmas show. Not anymore. Not a lot of them can afford to put that much money on a couple of artists across board.
So, I mean, oh my God.
Tyler?
What do you think of her comments on Afrobeat? Because, I mean, we know that it's a lot of controversy and criticizing the lumping of so many music genres into one.
If you're being honest, you know, people are going to say a whole lot of things, but if you look back and you find out that they're very good Nigerian rappers, now I ask you, is rap a Nigerian genre?
No.
Like, no. You need to sort of...
You say that
you need to sort of get used to, like, as long as you've taken it out in that way,
you don't control it anymore.
My plea, what I plead for is for Nigerian artists to remember if they can create two different sort of rate cards, one for the international gigs, one for the Nigerian gigs. So you also don't lose the consumers here. And you know, the Gen Zs, listen, the Gen Zs are not consuming music the way we consumed music. The Gen Zs have the smartphone, so they are exposed to a lot of music. So we stayed true to some Nigerian music because we felt it was our own thing. We were proud of like the Two-Face, the LD, the Banky Ws, and every single person who sort of were part of that. They said, but right now music have gone international. So those some of these people are expressing with different music. There's also another one called trap, but you guys are too old to know trap music.
No, I know trap. I grew up in the South. I know trap.
Who don't know trap on this table?
Like, listen, you know, I remember getting confused. Like, you know.
I don't know, is he shaming us or he's saying you're bougie?
You know, and he's saying it in such a way that it's difficult to.
But I know trap.
Okay, great. It's not to catch rats.
I don't know that.
Noble. Off air.
But interesting. You know, it's interesting that you mentioned that. Yeah, artists are leaning towards international rates and leaning towards getting more international gigs. But on the flip side, wouldn't you look at it as maybe it's paving the way for younger artists, because we have so many other talented artists who probably the space is tight for them to come out and shine.
I mean, it's a good thing, but the problem is if that becomes the benchmark, a lot of artists are going to look at themselves as not successful enough because they've never been able to cross over.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, actually, some artists
so they might be doing pretty well, but their own idea of the exact of success is being played
compared to the States and the
international. And it's not going to happen it's not going to happen for everybody, but the only way everybody can feel fulfilled is if the international artists also have a presence here.
How do they balance that?
You know, I'm gonna take this conversation to a little more not serious, because this is a serious conversation, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Last week we were talking about femicide, and I'm asking you this specifically because you're a girl dad. You've got two beautiful daughters.
Thank you.
Yes, very beautiful daughters, and so we'd like to hear your perspective on this particular question. Allow me to read it. We talked about the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, the VAPP Act, which is currently in talks about being repealed, as you are aware. What responsibility do you think people in your position, because you are very influential, you have, and I believe that influencers have a huge responsibility. It's not just about the perks of having people follow you. There's the responsibility of determining what they believe, what they understand, the scope of their reasoning. That's what I believe an influencer's job is. So what responsibility do you think people like you, as influencers, as role models, as pioneers, because you are a pioneer in many, many respects, how do you use your platform to address societal issues, like the things that, like the VAPP Act, for instance, like what's going on with our economy, the political instability, corruption, greed, equality, unemployment with the youth? Because right now, we're hearing more now than ever. People are for money stuff. And it's happening younger and younger and younger. You hear someone 20 years old took someone to the bush, butchered them, and you see what I'm saying?
And wants to get blood money.
For it. And more people are doing it because apparently, I guess they say it works, I don't know. But how are people like you stopping things like that or helping to influence the important things? Because entertainment is important, but it can also be a distraction. That's what I believe. And we can't keep escaping the reality of this country.
So,
that's sigh.
First of all, thank you so much for asking me this. I don't know how well you know me, but I'm one of those people who people sort of wonder why I talk a lot about confidence, even when I am supposed to be calm about it, because people, like governments, can hire me for jobs. But I think, like, if we don't speak up, maybe no one will speak. And if we don't speak up and ask for the best, for the good things to be done for the problems, nobody will speak up. And I kind of feel like I've spoken up on different issues. Like there was time I spoke about how young people are getting into fraud, and how mothers are buying computers for their children to go and learn how to do fraud, and how we people of influence just sit back and keep quiet just because it's none of our business. But the thing is, if you do not protect the society when you can speak, at a time when you cannot speak as much anymore, you probably have kids who get involved in this sort of things. And the same thing applies to every single thing. All about, like, you know, the gender gap, everything that has to do. And when I look back, because I've got 2 daughters, so a lot of people ask me, what does their wife do? My wife is a big, I want to speak French.
You call her chairman.
I can't speak French. Yeah,
she speaks French.
No, the French that is not for good for TV. my chairman is, she's a big marketing, like, you know, manager at Friesland Wamco, and she has a 9 to 5. My wife is one of those people that say, let me circle back on that, let me do that kind of thing. And, you know, we've got 2 daughters, Jasmine 7, Eliana 5.
Beautiful.
And I have tried everything possible to tell other men that regardless of the sex of the child, you should bring them up in the same way, you know, that kind of thing. So my kids do know everything they're supposed to know. So my girls can tell you that you want to go to a restaurant after, like, you know, after church. Or they can say, oh, can we go to a hotel for the weekend? And because the thing is, like, I don't want any man. I don't want any lives. Yes,
some crusty dude
to come out, someone impressed. So my kids, they've done everything, gone to spa. When people say to me, the people ask us to say, why do you guys spend so much money traveling with your children? I said, because my kids can have conversations with you. Like, you can't tell them, oh, I've been to London. They can ask you where in London did you go to, because they've also been. They've been to Paris, they've been to Amsterdam, they've been to Canada, they've been to different places, and where, like, I'm not telling them things they're watching on TV. They really can do this so that they can know that it's important for them to work to earn their own money.
I like that. And that's the point I want to take you on now, because when you talk about that, you're an Igbo man.
Yes.
You know, and we understand sometimes what that can come with.
Yes.
But beyond that, you're also a Nigerian man.
Yes.
And there are many Nigerian men who are probably watching now and say, he's speaking in the...
I don't understand what he's
Why do you think so many people, men, and even some women, are actually scared of women's empowerment, or in particular, women's economic freedom?
Yes.
Yeah, because those men don't know what...
And women. Sometimes women too.
So, like, I'm men and women. You know, I tell people a story. Like, I didn't grow up this way. I grew up in a father's, like, my father was the chairman of our house. My mom was, like, the mom of the house and the rest. But when I started making my own decision, I wanted to have a fully independent home where my wife have got her own money. See, chairman is the chairman of our house. You guys don't know what I mean. Like, listen, but I was telling somebody recently that I wanted to thank my wife, but I don't know how it will sound. Let me give you this. It's a personal story. But we wanted to do something. And my wife went like, oh, from the money we went on holiday for, that she has 3K left out of it. So she's going to bring it for the project we want to do. So I was not asking myself, if I had 3K left, I don't know if I'll be...
Put it into project.
We'll go on this vacation and come back, I'll probably, okay, maybe this is mine. But it also made me realize that I have been able to empower my wife to know that we can't go on holiday and I say, oh, let's do our account. Because there's no need for that. She has her own money. The way we have monies, we are making sure that we are independently sufficient enough. And my kids see that. That's what my kids used to ask me, how come I don't have a computer? Because I work on my iPad. But my wife, she's the one who goes to the dining table, open her system, and she's typing, she's saying, oh, I have a meeting, nobody can talk to me. When we have a meeting, my kids will be like, Daddy. But the thing is, like, the Nigerian men have to realize that if you empower the women, we will have a better society. And a lot of people are just so scared that when their women have money, they would not be able to control them. But the thing is, if you love someone, why do you still need control?
Thank you so very much.
Let him please repeat. That's Spanish for
thank you so much.
Yeah, if you love someone, why are you fighting for control? What control do you want? You know, that kind of thing, you know. I have some, if I tell this to you guys, like, you know, I remember one time, my mom came visiting me. You know, my mom grew up from the past time. You know, my mom came visiting, and my wife said she wanted to go see a movie, and it was 10 p.m. And my wife asked me if I wanted to go. I was like, no, I don't want to go.
Like, what?
And she was like, oh, she's going to go see a movie. Okay, well. Then my mom came to meet me to say,
sure?
Why is Choma? I said she went to the cinema. So then at 10, I said yes. Alone.
Yes. Yes. Let me share a story. I told you guys, my parents were around last year. Me and my hustling were doing our Lagos thing, hustling, doing clubbing and everything. When we left, before they left, my father called family meeting. The way you people are going out, and you're going out by yourself at night. You're coming at 2 a.m. I said, you have no idea.
But the thing is, if you see an empowered woman, you will know.
Yes.
It shows.
Yes.
It speaks.
Yes.
People say in the house, I say, I'm an Igbo man. The Igbo man shows when I say that my chairman will drive the best car that we have in the house. You have to see. I can't be another kind of thing. If you have a Rolex in the house, it has to belong to the chairman. It can't be my Rolex first before chairman's Rolex. So,
chairman, we greet you. Especially my sister.
Let me ask, because it's really interesting to hear you speak so much about this. And we are women. We also know that we can scream and shout as much as we want. But in the long run, men will listen to men. Men will look to other men to see how to do certain things. True. And I would really want to hear from you if you really do understand the challenges women face in attaining economic freedom or some level of economic power. So what do you think, or what do you see are the challenges Nigerian women face? I want to hear from you.
So a lot of Nigerian women face so I kind of feel like, some men think that if they keep their women away from money, like I said, the control thing, they enjoy it. And it sort of makes them feel like the woman cannot stand up and leave the marriage. Yes. Right? But I kind of feel like the most important thing, whether we like it or not, we need to actually preach, is for families to love their kids, especially their female children. Yes. If a girl or if a woman knows that if she leaves her marriage, there's a spot for her at home, she can speak her mind at every point in time. Yes. If the family makes it look like she's not welcomed after marriage,
she feels trapped.
She will be trapped, she'll be frustrated, and she may not even, she's not in the marriage, she's not outside of the marriage, she doesn't know what she does. She says she's living for the children. I tell people, like, I don't want to live for my children. I want to live for myself.
Yeah, because those children will
turn 18 and decide how they want to
live. They will leave you and live for them.
But the most important thing is, like, marriages, people will struggle in marriage. Human beings have issues in relationships, like another kind of thing. But sometimes it gets better. But the thing is, like, if you have someone, and the thing, and I said to a lot of women this, if you do not have your own shea money, there's nobody who gives that money for free every time that'll be happy and pleasant doing that. There's no man that will say money for hair, money for granules, money for onions, money for something. They will, at some point, they'll be resented, no matter how much they claim to love you. So your own money is important.
You know why? I think one of the reasons that happens is you can't honestly say to yourself as a man that this woman truly loves me if the only thing, if every bit of money she has comes from me.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't say that. Yes, exactly. Because for you, I mean, what if I stop giving her this money? Does she leave? You don't know that. So when a woman has her own and she stays and she honors him and she respects him and she loves him and takes care of him, he knows, listen, this
but also remember that also goes both ways. I'm also like big picture of going both ways. So love has to like be intertwined.
We were speaking about the women now. I'm saying, because many people think women are with men primarily for money, for security, financial security. And I'm trying to say, because it's seeping down into the younger generation, and we're becoming disillusioned. The way women think right now.
We're not ready to have this younger generation.
No, we are very ready.
A lot of people say, a lot of young women say on social media, they do not want to date anybody who's not a fraudulent person.
Listen, people are, I don't know, I think it's this year or last year is the first time I ever heard. A guy says, oh, I'd like to take you out on a date. Can we go out on a date? And you say, send me money for a big dress. I will. You know how crass that is? But it is permeating.
Yes. They're asking you for transport fare. Tu achètes la robe qu'elle va porter. You are going to. Je te dis, even the perfume she's going to.
To be respected. How can you ask for respect when you come to the table with broken legs?
What are you talking about? Somebody tweeted a few days ago that somebody took her on a date and gave her money, but gave her the exact amount of transport money that she needed.
What was he supposed to give you?
Extra. Social media is not helping because the blogs pick up foolish content like, if he doesn't give me 20 million naira or 40 million naira, drop him. If your man does not buy you Range Rover, drop it.
Have you not heard the one that
say the blogs pick up?
If he doesn't earn 800, he cannot give you that. But you have no business messing with him.
You women, apart from men speaking up, women need to speak up.
Women can only speak up. I feel like women can only speak up when women are properly empowered. Because if women had the same access to financial security, financial empowerment and advancement as men did, then maybe when someone says something foolish like he must give you 20 million naira if he doesn't have to spend 20 million in the club.
It can also be.
How many people's fathers, by the time, how many of their fathers had 20 million naira to spare to say, you know what, hey, my little girlie, you're going to the club, here's 20 mil. But then you go and you meet a 20-year-old guy, and a 25-year-old guy, and you expect him to have 20 million to spare.
Let's talk about home too. Like, you know how home needs to be properly managed. So let me give an example in the small ways, right? If you do go out, and this is to men, if you do go out with your wife or kid, sometime during payment, let the wife bring out her card to pay.
Yeah.
Because you need the children only react to what they say.
Yes.
So if every time it's daddy
pay,
daddy this,
you're training them that is men that have the money
exactly,
and women don't.
Exactly. So
you're not even ready for the conversations that's gonna happen after that.
There's this false pseudo helplessness that has been put into the minds of women that, listen, when it comes to money, it's the men. When it comes to body, it's the women.
Apart from that, just be the damsel in distress.
Going around BBLing themselves up and down the place because I need to sell my body so that I can get the man's money.
Yes.
Listen, this thing we're talking about is not easy.
We're not going to end the call. Women are financially empowered.
No, but the good thing is, like, you know, I know this may not be the project to say it, but you know that I like some people or some project that people are doing towards that. Like, you know, so I kind of feel like the guys at Bella Nigeria are doing something called She Things, where they're also trying to she money or something, where they're trying to also tell women how to. So such programs, you guys also can do your own.
So that's what we do it on Jesse. We talked about financial independence. We talked about we talked about the senator who's trying to repeal part of the GAP Act. Second time he's trying this thing. We talked about femicide, the Kenya and the Nigeria conversation.
We don't women
at all.
We don't.
But apart from talking, what I want to say, I know you guys are doing a great and amazing job. Apart from talking, I also want you guys to start doing
action. We're working on something.
You can also start from the church. If people go to, look about these churches that have like all these new people and all the rest of them, and get them to talk. But the thing is, like, if the example is this: if a man and a woman breaks up, and the man says, "I want to take back the car that I bought you," the woman's most answers is usually, "What about my body
that I gave you?"
Because it seems like that's the only answer. So why is that the only thing you offer?
Okay, and we have 3 minutes. You have to come back, but because we only have a limited amount of time left, we have to go.
You had to come back?
You have to come back. What was he saying before we came on?
Perhaps.
But then we trust you've enjoyed it. But I want you to quickly paint a picture. You know, you have 2 girls.
Yes.
Catherine has 2 girls. I have a daughter. Lolo has a daughter as well. What is the Nigeria you would want your girls, our children, our girls to grow up in?
The Nigerian I want my girls to grow up is the Nigerian where my girl will go into a restaurant and say, I want a table for 1 or 2, and nobody will ask how
somebody else joining you.
I want my girls to grow up in a way where they go to eat and they'll bring the check and put it at the center of the table and not the man seated at the table.
Come here.
You know, that kind of thing. I want my girls to grow up in a country where if they do get into a road accident, nobody will tell them to call their husband or their father. They'll be dealt with as a person.
As a human, as a person.
I want my people to be able to, like, you know, rent a house and don't have to bring a man to come and sign on their behalf. I want a country where my girls can be anything that they want to be. Go to concerts, go to events, go to comedy show, rent a table, whatever. I want my daughters to walk into a restaurant and not be told that the gentleman sitting over there has taken care of your drink. I want my
or that they can't come in as a single woman. That has happened to me.
But the society has to be ready to do that. You know what I mean by that? The women that have come before my daughters need to go to the restaurant with the amount of money available for their drink. Be the person who orders what you drink, even when another person is paying.
And be able to pay
Don't drink Coke. When somebody say, what do you want?
And you say, I want champagne.
What happens when it's your birthday? I don't know.
Maybe stop drinking champagne you can't afford. It's been a fantastic show, a great conversation. Very, very interesting, very dynamic. Noble, we've had the best time with you here. Thank you.
I'm usually the best guest.
We're the best show. We two were the best show.
Thank you for being our guest today. Please join us tomorrow, 10 a.m. You know what time it is. Jasiri, every Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. Thank you, Noble, for being here with us. And ladies, we shall see them again tomorrow, shall we?
Yes,
All right.
Bye.